Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness.
Hello girls, and welcome to another episode of the Women's Fitness Academy's podcast. I'm your host Siggy, one of the WFA's educators and a women's online coach. Today I'm joined by Ebony Lane. Now, Ebony's not only a coach, but she's also ranked. I'm so excited talking about this because it's really fucking cool, but she's also ranked the third fastest sprinter in Australia, and now she's also sitting at fifth fastest with her first run back being this weekend. Now, this conversation is going to be really epic. I'm already fired up about what we're going to be talking about. But to give you a little bit of a glimpse, we're going to be talking about the side of coaching that many people don't own up to, or they don't speak openly about it, and also about the reality of being a business owner, but also being an athlete as well. So, Ebony, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's definitely been a journey with both my athletics and my coaching, but it's definitely got me where I am today, and so many more opportunities popping up just in the next couple of months. So definitely really excited for that.
Yes, exciting stuff. I love it. So let's first start with what got you into running?
Yep. So I started when I was 4 years old. Mum and dad did a little bit of athletics when they were growing up, but it was mainly like the beach sprinting. So they got us into Little Ass, which is just a great community atmosphere. We were living in the city at the time, so we didn't really have many connections or friends because we had moved. Mum and dad had just moved there. So it was just, what sports are around? Great, Little Ass is big in Melbourne, let's do that. And then once we finished up in the city and moved to the country. And again, the only really sport that was there was athletics. So continued it on there. And then when we moved back down the Mornington Peninsula way, it was just, all right, guys, what sports do you want to do? And we were like, let's do athletics still because we've all done it. So I've got three brothers who also did it as well.
Awesome.
And then it was just netball, footy, dancing, everything else in between. But athletics was the one that I definitely stuck with, obviously, till now. So yeah.
I love that. And obviously now you're, as I mentioned before, you're the fifth ranked in Australia. How does that feel?
It's different because I was never the top throughout my whole way of being through Little Ass, Senior Ass, nothing. And then it just took for me through the lockdowns. I was like, why am I doing this? I need a purpose. I rock up to training 4 to 5 times a week. I'm paying a coach and I'm not taking it seriously enough. Like, do I really want to give it a good crack and see where it takes me? Or whether I'm just doing it for fun and just doing it to do something on the weekends and keep myself fit. So yeah, I really delve into getting myself physically and mentally healthy throughout the lockdown. And then it took for the first race back of last season that I was like, I'm actually running really, really good here. And then, yeah, I had 2 epic races after that, which then got me running 11:39. So my time from the season before was 11:80 was my best, to last season 11:39, which is a massive jump. And everyone was
Huge
like,
jump.
oh, where's this girl come from? Yeah,
Yeah.
I even made the national final, to then being ranked third and being one of the top girls getting selected for Australian relay teams, getting talked about to go to the Olympics, which I just missed out on going because of points system. And yeah, to now this season, again, being invited to different races and to still be ranked 5th, even though I haven't raced yet. So definitely more to come.
I love that. What changes did you make during that transition from, reaching 11.8, was it, to 11:39?
Yeah. So I was definitely a party goer, would go out every weekend. I would finish up athletics and be like, great, it's only 7:00. Let's go home. Let's get ready. Let's go out. Which was really fun at the time. And I'm glad that I experienced that side of a thing, because a lot of athletes, that I am with now that are on relay teams and stuff, they've been working hard for this for so long. And I've been working hard for it too, but it's just taken a little bit longer for my journey to really be like, yep, I'm an athlete and this is what I do. It was just a little hobby and a side thing to keep myself fit and just something that I did. Whereas throughout the lockdown, I was like, all right, I want to start tracking my food, do different stuff. I want to listen to podcasts. I want to do meditation. Was writing down goals each week, journaling, doing everything. To then I was looking the fittest I'd ever looked, was lifting heavy in the gym again, which I hadn't done for ages, was eating really healthy, clean, learning about macros, learning about calories, and just giving people advice. Heaps of people were messaging me being like, whoa, how have you made these changes, like so inspiring? And I was starting to work for different brands and just getting involved in so much health and fitness stuff that I was like, maybe I should start to look into this a little bit more as a career, as well as obviously still doing it for myself to get to where I want to be.
So cool. It just shows you what a lifestyle change can make a big difference. Like, yes, we've all been there. We all, love to dabble here and there with socializing. But once you switch that mindset, go, all right, let's get my shit together. It's either I go the whole yard or I just don't do this at all. And obviously you went the whole yard and you achieved it. Like you went beyond and above and you're like, cool, well, this is no surprise because you literally changed everything from nutrition, health, training, and you got the result that you wanted.
Yeah, like I definitely lost a lot of things along the way. I lost friendships, obviously the girls that I would always go out with, lost those, finished up a 5-year relationship during that time because he was also in the party scene and it was just too much conflict, not understanding, all right, she wants to put hard work into her training. And then, I then changed all of that around and just got to, being the healthy and the fittest that I'd ever been without worrying about, I've lost these people on the way, because now I've got people in my corner that are into the same thing, building me up, hyping me up, and I'm hyping them up as well. So,
so true. Like we all go through these transitions in life where, people come and go. But as you mentioned that the girls that you were hanging out, the ex at the time, they just had a different point of views. And when you start noticing yourself growing, sometimes it can be quite difficult and scary because you're like, I'm going on this path. I can totally relate to this. I'm no athlete, but when I first started my journey, it was literally just me. And my friends were still like, going out all the time, like on the drugs, alcohol, like all-nighters, like let's get fucked up. And you're like, no, I can't do this anymore. And once you start veering yourself away from it, it can get a little bit lonely. Did that feel for you as well?
Yeah, it was definitely, I felt like it was still I was still friends with all of those people and still doing a mix. I really wanted to put effort into my training, but I still wanted to hang out with them. And then it got to the point that I was like, I don't know who I want to be. Like I was stuck in the middle. I wasn't sure. I didn't even recognize myself, went through so many hormonal changes and moved out of home. And I was literally just in the midst of everything, like working, trying to juggle friendships, and then moving out of home, that I was just like, all right, which one am I going to go for? This is the one that I really want to achieve, and I'm going to get a little bit more further than going out partying with everyone. And it's, something that I definitely don't regret. I've lost people along the way, but if they wanted to still be along with my journey, they could have. So,
So you lose some and you gain some, and obviously you've gained a lot more from, losing those kind of people. And sometimes you just need to factor the pros and cons with everything. And again, you're not there to help and support them. You're here to support your life. And if it doesn't serve you, then why continue doing it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was a little bit with work as well. I was working in childcare for 4 years. And again, same thing. I was like, this is a great, like I love my job, love all the girls here, but there's no real pathway. There's no moving forward from this. So what's something that I can get into a different industry that's going to help me grow as a business, as myself, and something that I'm interested in and want to do each day. So that was another point in that whole midst of leaving friendships and the working thing. It was just like, I have all these goals and expectations and things that I want to do, but so much stuff holding me back that I just was like, I'm going to let go of all of it and just do this. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're referring to letting go of those things, are they mainly like this social aspect side of things?
Yeah, and definitely more just like comfortability as well. I stayed friends with all those people from high school, so it wasn't just short-term friendships. I remember I just had my 21st, and pretty much everyone that was there I don't speak to now. And it was just more a comfortability thing. I just wanted everything to feel like it was going well. But I had this other side of me that was like, yes, you're comfortable, but you're not going to grow from this. You're not going to get anywhere from this. It's just going to be you in this little shell. And it definitely got me out of that shell as well. I was very introverted, wouldn't do any of this stuff. I watched back on like interviews and stuff from races, and I was so shy and didn't know what to say because I didn't really know what I wanted. It was like, oh, how'd your race win go today? And I'm like, yeah, it was good. Like, it wasn't just like I came here to win. Like, it was just like, oh yeah, I came and I won. Like, well done. Yeah. Whereas if now I go to each race with a purpose, I know a time in my head that I want to get. I know how my body's feeling. All the preparation throughout the week is all set in stone. And yeah, whatever the result is at the end of the day is mainly what I have been thinking about the whole week. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. You're more in preparation for all of it.
Yeah, and definitely like manifesting stuff as well. Like, throughout each race, I will know exactly what time I want to run, and usually that is the time that I end up running as well.
Yes, hell yeah. The power of the mind.
Yeah,
Seriously.
definitely. Yeah. All my dreams throughout the week are all to do with those races or the goals for that week. So
yeah. While we're on the topic of manifestation, are there any ways that you do yourself to gain your goals?
Yeah, so each year I do set myself goals. They're not too specific. So I have a general one of which are goals that I want to achieve over a long period of time, which is more like 10, 20 years, milestones of personal goals, making the Olympics, that sort of a thing, owning a house, how many children I want, that sort of a thing. It obviously changes each year, but it's just like a list of goals that I do want to work towards. And if most of the time I will tick off a couple of them in that year, but then some of them are ones that I can definitely see myself doing in the next 10 years. And then I also have for each year personal goals that I want to achieve in a certain amount of times, and then same with my athletics goals as well. So
yeah, I love that. And do you look over that, I don't know, like on a daily basis, a weekly basis?
I actually don't. Most of the time I'll probably look at them once throughout the year, and then that's when I'm like, wow, there's like 6 ticked off already. And then I get to the point where it's just before the end of the year, around November, and most of the time they're all ticked off for the ones that I want to achieve in the year. And then heaps for the long-term goal that I'm like, wow, I actually never thought that I would even tick it off this year, considering that it's like more of a long-term list. But then goals that to keep on top of that, I do listen to heaps of podcasts, read quotes and everything each day, which keep me on track to then be like, I want to work harder. Listening to other people motivate me, makes me be like, let's do this.
Yeah, keeping focused.
Yeah. And then listening to other people, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly where I want to go. And then in a couple of weeks it happens and I'm like, what? Yeah,
crazy. Yeah. I love that. Well, you know what, as they say, you put your mind into something, you're going to achieve it. And then if there's some form of self-doubt or anything that's going to push you away from it, you just have to fight it. As you said, you need to get uncomfortable to get to that point where you reach that goal, or you just keep working towards it in the long term.
Yeah, and you're always going to find things that do keep you on track as well. It's the same with my diet. As soon as I feel my diet's slipping, I'll just get on MyFitnessPal, track my food for 2 weeks, and then I'm back on track again. So it's just tricking your mind to get back into routine and to continue on that pathway of what you want to achieve at the end of the day. And yeah, there is going to be roadblocks, but that's how you're going to learn from it.
Yeah, that's life. It's not going to be smooth sailing.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, I love that. So now that we have a better understanding of how we got into sports and running, in terms of the coaching side of things, when did you, I'm pretty sure we covered it, I can't remember, but when did you start coaching? Because you said you were doing childcare, but then decided to leave that. So once you left that, did you go straight into coaching?
Yeah, so I was studying, so it was still lockdown, the very start of it in 2019. I was still in childcare, but I was planning on going to university to study primary teaching. So through that stage, I was like, what am I going to do on the side? Because I can't still do childcare. It's 8-hour days and do uni. So I was like, what's something that interests me? And I was like, you know what? There's so many girls that ask me questions on Instagram or get motivated or inspired by my content on Instagram because it is primarily health and fitness. Let's do personal training. I've had so many personal trainers in the past and loved it, experienced so many different things, whether it be group classes or one-on-one PT. So I was like, that's perfect. Let's do that. So I studied that, and pretty much, I reckon 2 weeks into studying that, I was like, nah, this is what I want to do. So I smashed out my course in literally 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Every day I was like, I just want to do my course, and just learn so much and get it done, which I was able to do. And then, yeah, left the childcare, was already offered a job at a gym through someone that I was doing a collab with on Instagram. Which then I started working in that gym, and then things started to go downhill a little bit. Yeah.
So before we started recording, I actually asked Ebony if she'd be open to discuss her, the uncomfortable experience of being a PT in a gym, and she said yes. And I think we all need to understand that there's always going to be pros and cons working for someone or working somewhere that does not align with you. And I've been there a couple of times, so I can totally relate. But yeah, would you be open, telling us a little bit about what went wrong on, your end or their end?
Yeah, definitely. So I did really want to work in a gym to start off with. I think you learn so much in the gym when you're first starting out. All of my PTs I'd done within the gym, I'd never done them in a park or anything. So I was comfortable in doing that, knew how it sort of worked because I had coaches in the past that worked within the gym. And because this job was offered to me and I'd already done a little bit of work with them, I'd looked through the gym before it even opened and met so many of the members before it opened as well. That I was like, yep, let's do it. Like, this is obviously a sign that I've got to be here and do this. So started off there, and it was really, really good. Pretty much had everything handed to me on a platter. Was like, had all the hours that I wanted to do, was able to quit the childcare and still be financially stable. I brought heaps of leads into the gym because of just all the contacts and everything that I had, and people through Instagram was like, yep, I live like in that area, I want to come and check it out. So did all of that. And then I think because I was excelling so quickly, and he knew that I had only just finished my certificate, that I was almost raining on his parade because he had only just opened this gym, first time being a boss of a gym, and I had sort of come in, brought all these leads in, was doing really, really well off not much experience at all because I just finished my certificate, that I was getting really talked down on. You're a female, this, like, oh, you'll find that people won't listen to you because you're young and you're a girl, and most of the males feel uncomfortable around you, and all of this sort of stuff. And just like, yeah, pushing it to the side. Then it got to the point that each shift he would take me out for coffee and just say all the bad stuff that I did throughout my shift, even though I had walked away thinking that I had done really, really, really well on that day. I was like, wow, I actually did, like, I was able to do this sale, and I helped this person with their squats or taught them how to use the cable ropes properly and did all of that sort of stuff. And I think because I was so up here with, yes, I did so well today, that he just had to bring it down, and then I walked away feeling like crap. And it almost made me feel like, why did I leave something that I was so comfortable in doing in the childcare centre with such a great team behind me to just come to this where I was just getting talked down on, and just made me feel like a really bad coach. And it was my first time being a coach, so that was really, really hard. And then it got to the point that he just kept cutting down my shifts. And I ended up having 1 3-hour shift a week. So I pretty much told him to get stuffed and found another avenue of PT, which was mobile personal training face-to-face in parks, and was subcontracting to someone else. So that was then me sort of starting on my own business, was able to go to do consults, learn how to do invoicing, learn how to write programs out myself, because at the gym it was all written for me. And it was just such a different avenue, and I ended up finding a love for the fitness industry again and getting people results and back on track. And it was almost just like an FU to to the gym, and a whole heap of people left there once they had found out that I had left. And it was just good to be like, all right, it wasn't me, it was just the experience, and obviously someone being threatened. But I'm glad that I had the experience, was able to see how it all worked, and the gym isn't for me now. So yeah.
Yeah. It's so tough when you experience those moments, because it really plays up in your mind, because you start doubting yourself. You're like, is it me? Like, am I doing wrong? Oh, maybe I am too much. Maybe he's right. Maybe I shouldn't be training males, or maybe I shouldn't train people older than me because they will look down on me. It's just like, no, that is not the fact. Like, he's just pushing his own insecurities onto you.
Yes. Yeah.
And it just sucks to see that, because that's where a lot of self-doubt comes into place, especially for us women.
Yeah.
There's constructive feedback, and then there's not constructive by you literally putting someone down. And by the sounds of it, he was just trying to put you down and be the macho hero of the situation.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it definitely it wasn't a good experience, but I'm glad that I went through that to then also help other people that go through that as well, because I do know and have heard so many stories of people that have started within a gym and do have a male boss, or sometimes female boss as well, that just almost make you feel down here because they're up here. And they should be helping you through that pathway to get up to where they are as well, because most of the time they have had a lot more experience. They're 5-6 years into the industry, and you just want to learn from them. But if they're not able to help you or give you constructive feedback that's actually going to help you and not bring you down, it's just it's hard, and it just makes you second guess being in the industry, which sucks.
Yeah, sucks big time to go through that. And for our listeners, if you're if you've been through that, let us know, like, what was your experience like? Because funny you say enough, it's not always the male. I was encountered with a female boss who looked down on me and used to push me around to do certain things that just did not align within the company, within my values. And it's tough, because when you just want to pull the plug and you're like, enough is enough, you're worried, because you're like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job. I'm not going to have any income. But for that temporary stress to just leave that place and actually figure out what else you want to do in the long run, you're so better off without them. Like, look at you now. You're mobile PT, doing your own thing. You're now training junior athletes. It's like, it's all happening. It's all aligning.
Yeah, and now doing online as well. So all the avenues, I've had the experience working in the gym, had the experience of doing mobile face-to-face PT, online PT, and running coaching, all within a 2-year time frame. So
yeah, it just shows you, like, even that really shitty experience, so many good things have come from that because of what you've learned.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. How was mobile PT during the pandemic?
It was, so I pretty much started through that time when the pandemic had just sort of finished, and then it was like had that little bit of a couple months break, and then it started up again. So that was all smooth sailing with the face-to-face PT. Still able to go and meet them at parks and not have to wear masks or anything like that. Yeah. I would take all my own equipment, and that was all smooth sailing. Did a couple of face-to-face clients within the homes, but you were able to have visitors and stuff through that stage. And then when it started to hit really bad again, that was when I was moving house. So I had to leave all those clients behind anyway. And that's when I then started online PT. So it was, good because I was able to get such a smooth sailing with that and get my love back for doing personal training and helping people with their fitness journey, learning how to write my own programs, invoicing, scheduling, meeting people, doing all of the tax side of things as well, to then be able to just slowly, pretty much quickly transition into online PT, which is quite similar in the fact that I schedule all my own clients, do all of the invoicing, build all their programs and stuff. It's just the interactions via Zoom instead of face-to-face.
So good. I love that. So much fun now. How are you finding the transition from face-to-face to online?
I do enjoy it a lot more, but in saying that, I do miss the face-to-face, and I am going to be starting that back up soon, just for my own mental health and to get myself back outdoors and just having that physical interaction with people and just building a relationship that's a little bit more closer when you're face-to-face with people. Obviously, online, you still are building really good relationships, but it is a bit hard because the sessions that I do at the moment are via Zoom 30 minutes. It's more so, let's try and get the session in for 30 minutes, and we've got about 5 minutes each side to talk personal. So, I'm looking forward to getting back to face-to-face. But the online side of things is just growing rapidly, and it's something that I still really want to be a part of. So I
love that. So good. You mentioned before about lockdowns and the pandemic. In terms of mindset and physical, how did you go by that?
Yeah, so I think because I was spending a lot of time on my own and I had just moved out of home from my family, like I wasn't able to go and see them and get my mental health back to being happy each day. And I was still working because I was in childcare at that point, so I was still able to get interactions with all of the girls there, but it was just more the fact of not being able to see my coach or my training squad that made it really difficult. And it was just, you had to go to the closest oval near you on some dodgy footy oval and try and get your training session done, marking out like how far you've got to run, put cones down. Got attacked by a couple of dogs at some point. Had to set up our own home gym, and it was just, everything was on our own. We had to be so motivated to just each day do it on our own, go to the footy oval, mark it all out, get the stuff set up in the gym. We had to buy so much stuff off Marketplace because our training doesn't stop. It has to keep on going. And we were in our pre-season at that point, which is so vital to get everything going, that I think because you had to be so motivated to rock up and do it on your own, that made my mental health so much stronger and made it more of a, athletics used to be like fun hobby sport, as I said before, but this had to make it a priority and had to be implemented in my daily routine. If it wasn't going to get done, there wasn't anyone that was going to push me to do it. I had to do it on my own. So that was a real big factor in my mental health. Got so strong because I was like, this is the end goal. I've got to do it on my own. I don't have my training squad to back me up or my coach to tell me what to do or to have a certain training schedule to know, all right, at 4:00 today, I've got to go to training. It was just, you've got to fit it in where you can fit it in. You've got to do it rain, hail or shine at some dodgy footy oval, and you just got to get it done. So, yeah.
It's taking some self-accountability for yourself. Because this is a really great example for our clients or even us as coaches by having a coach when, when your coach gives you certain instructions to do something, it is up to you to do it.
Yeah, and there was some days I was like, I cannot be bothered, but that's when you've just got to get your mind to be like, well, what is the purpose in doing it? What is the end goal? Are you going to achieve that if you're going to sit at home and watch movies instead of going and training and just getting it done? It's 40 minutes of your day, a little bit longer sometimes, but it's only a small portion of your day. And if you've got a really big goal that you want to achieve, you're going to do it and you're going to implement it into your daily routine and you're going to make it happen. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. You've got to do it because otherwise no one else is going to do it for you.
No, definitely not.
And again, this comes with practice. You've been running since you were 4 years old. Like it's so natural for you. But as you mentioned, you still have those obstacles of having to just push yourself and put yourself in an uncomfortable environment by doing it on your own, during lockdown. Going out of your way, going to marketplace, getting the equipment. It's just like, yeah, like it happens. We have to adapt to these changes, but over time, it's going to help you to reach that end goal.
Yeah, and it really makes you appreciate everything that your coaches do for you as well, because like you put so much work into it, but they are ultimately the ones that are writing your programs, getting you to rock up each day, motivating you to do it, helping you get results. That when that gets taken away from you, you really start to realize, hang on, like if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be so motivated and I wouldn't rock up each day without the purpose. So yeah, really put into perspective of why am I doing this? What's the end goal? I just got to do it on my own to achieve it. Otherwise it's never going to happen. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Such a good way of looking at it, especially, as you experience as a runner, but also as a coach now as well. What would you say? Okay. What are the pros and cons of you being a professional runner, but also running your own coaching business?
Yeah. So definitely the pros would be being recognized by people and being able to make Australian teams and being selected for Commonwealth Games and Olympic Games. Like not many people get to say that. So it is quite cool. And even just being involved in a sport as well. Like once you get to your teenage years or early adult or adult, you're not involved in sports and like I couldn't imagine not being involved in athletics now. Like it's definitely just a full-time thing for me. So yeah, I think definitely those are the pros. The cons would be we travel heaps. So like this weekend, my competition's in Adelaide, then I'm back in Melbourne, then I'm in Sydney, then I'm in Brisbane, then I'm back in Sydney, and it's just everywhere, which is why online coaching is perfect for me. I've been able to really still be able to coach and do what I love and still work whilst also doing my own thing as well. And then the cons would be for the coaching side of things, people do get intimidated by me quite easily, I think, because they do see how fit and strong and how motivated I am. And there is sometimes when people come up with the excuses and I'm just like, that's great, but how are we going to then achieve your goals if you're not going to like reschedule or want to train? So I think, very tough, and you got to do it to be able to achieve your whatever you want to achieve. Otherwise, if it's just going to be something that you want to cruise along doing and do for enjoyment, then that's also fine. But just know that all of the goals that we've set at the start of the year are probably going to take a bit longer than what you would like them to. So that would be like a con for the coaching. But pro is definitely, I'm able to put all my time and effort into it when it's online. I love writing programs for other people because my programs are quite specific. So being able to just put in exercises that I love doing myself, but I can't do because it's not within my training regime, seeing other people do it, it's just like, I get a little bit excited from it. So definitely writing programs, giving people little cues of habit tracking and keeping on track, and getting their mental health right, physical health, love doing like macronutrients and teaching them calories and giving them little snack ideas and all of that sort of stuff. So it is, yeah, it's definitely fun, more pros than cons, but there is a few cons in there as well, which would be more of like the intimidation side of things, and then obviously me traveling a lot and having to reschedule sometimes too. So
yeah, I love that you opened up about the intimidation side of things, because as women, we're supposed to be empowering other women, but some women would look at yourself, would look at me and be like, nah, there's no chance in hell I can look that way. And then again, that puts in like this limiting belief that you can never look a certain way because you don't do X, Y, and Z.
yeah.
But as you mentioned, sometimes your excuses are a little bit too much, which are holding you back from getting the results. So I love that you mentioned that you just need to be a little bit tough with some people, make them realize that, hey, you can't have excuses and achieve your goals at the same time. And you may need to require to make some sacrifices. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but in the long run, you are going to achieve what you're wanting, to wish for.
Yeah, and especially like realistic goals as well. Like there is so many women that come to me and are like, just make me look like you. Like, it takes a
like that way.
Yeah, like I train 7 times a week. Obviously, like my dieting phases are completely different to
you're an athlete.
Yeah. So, and I've been doing it since I was 4. It's been a massive journey. Like it's only really been the last 2 years that it's sort of all come together for me, and it's taken so many years that it's like, that's great. You want to achieve those goals and look a certain way, but just be a little bit more realistic about it. If you are going to work hard and you do want to do 7 training sessions a week, that's awesome, but it will probably take more of a 5-year goal than 1 or 2 years.
Yes, I love that. Being honest, making them realize, hey, it's not an 8-week transformation. It's a 5-year transition.
Yeah, which is again the great thing about online too, is people can network and connect with me through Instagram, and they will see the side of me, which is training every single day, being out on the track, competing at a top level, wearing the green and gold, and actually being like, oh, hang on a minute, like not quite where this girl is. So
yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
But you know what, like there's always a time and place to dream and want to become as some form of athlete in quotations. But again, for someone who's, in their 30s, for instance, right now, who's never done some form of sport, or even squatting, for instance, for them to get into that top level, position as you are, it's going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah. So I think it just takes a little bit of time, or for certain people to try and get them to realize that, it is a little bit unrealistic, but hey, if you want to lose 10 kilos, I can help you do that. No problem at all. But turning into a full-time top level athlete, maybe not.
Yeah, love that. So good. Such a good chat. Before we finish up, I have a question for you. What would you like to pay attention to that you don't currently pay attention to, and why? I actually heard it from a podcast, and they asked their attendee that question. I was like, I have to ask this question.
So hard. I don't know. Probably just like my life is completely different to your ordinary, everyday, like corporate desk job type of person. So I think getting to know people outside of like coaching, athletics, all of that sort of stuff, just in the real world, and see how other people live and operate would be awesome, because I obviously would never imagine myself sitting in a top like law firm or anything like that. So I think listening to other people's stories and what they do every day and how they got into their jobs and what made them be motivated to go to university for 8 years or something like that, because it's not what I would ever do, but just so interesting to hear other people's stories about that stuff. So
I love that. So true. It's like us talking right now and our listeners listening to your story. Like they have no idea who you were. And now Yeah, and now they're paying attention to your whole story. So I think that's an awesome answer.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And then obviously, like everyone that you are following on social media or paying attention to are all people that have similarities to you. So imagine just going completely out of that aspect and just learning about someone that's completely different to you and lives a completely different lifestyle to you and how they do it would just be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so good. I love that. Before we finish up, Ebony, where can our followers find you?
Yeah, so mainly Instagram is the main platform, which is just Ebony Lane _. If you wanted to do coaching, I do have a expression of interest form through that, whether it be face-to-face if we could make that happen, or whether it's online. I do 4-week tailored programs, and I also do running sessions as well, if that's something you wanted to try out and do. And then I also am on TikTok, which is just Ebony Lane PT. And I do have a Facebook page as well, which is Ebony Lane PT, which you can also do inquiries for coaching through that as well.
I love that. TikTok is something that I'm slowly getting into. It's a whole different level of social media.
Yeah. I know it is very brutal. You've got to be quite tough skin, I would say, but it is a lot of fun and it is different to your Instagram posts, and you get to know people a little bit more and their silly side and stuff. So I like that for it. Yeah,
I've heard it's quite brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to put my shield on.
Yeah, I uploaded a squat fail that I couldn't quite rack it back in properly, and it was just first time I'd ever done it. We got it on film, and I was like, oh, this would be funny to put to a TikTok sound, and I got absolutely annihilated on TikTok from people saying, this is so dangerous, you shouldn't be lifting if you can't rack it back in, and all this stuff, and people saying, oh, she's a sprinter, she doesn't know how to lift, and all this stuff. And it was humor for me, because I was just like, look, it was just a bit of fun, whatever. But yeah, it is pretty brutal. So if you get a little bit into worried about what people say or think, it's probably not the platform for you. But it is great to learn stuff, and I learn things off there every single day, and yeah, just see how other people's personalities come out. Yeah.
I love it. So many personalities.
Yes.
So many. Awesome. Well, girls, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please make sure that you recommend it, share it, screenshot it, tag the Women's Fitness Academy, tag myself, tag Ebony. And then till next time, I hope you pay more attention to people's stories, listen to it, and yeah, take notes from what you're learning, because that way you're going to be able to grow and evolve a little bit more better.